Welcome everyone to Beast Mode Fantasy. If you disagree with anything, please don't bite your tongue, please let me know in the comments, I'm really looking forward to discussing with all of you. First up, of course, Travis Kelce. I don't want to spend too much time on him, he's the star of your lineup, he's the star of Kansas City Chiefs. Anytime he plays you should play him, and for me he's tight end 1 every week. It looks like he's trending to play next week, and first game against Lions we all saw how Kansas City Chiefs really needed him. He's that safety blanket for Mahomes at all times. He's the only tight end in history to have 7 seasons with 1,000 yards. So of course he will be number 1 on the list. Second up I have Darren Waller. The most targets from Daniel Jones in the first game. Of course Giants will definitely look to bounce back after horrendous first week, and given Cardinals team that didn't look good, and adding that Cardinals were second worst defense against opposing tight ends last season, makes me believe that Waller is a smash play and he deserves to be here on spot number 2. Third up we have Mark Andrews. He's in the same tier with Waller, but because he missed week 1 with the injury, and the Ravens matchup should be a little bit harder than Giants matchup, I believe he should be on the spot number 3, right below Waller. Given last week's Ravens performance, I could tell that Lamar was missing Andrews from the offense, and I expect his role to remain big and be shining light of this offense. Last in that tier I have TJ Hawkinson. Good first game where he noted 8 receptions and was targeted 9 times. It shows that he will be a big role in that offense, and playing against Eagles I expect Vikings to have to throw a lot to be able to keep up with the Eagles offense. Matchup isn't easy, but volume should be there, so Hawkinson should have another good game where he scores at least 10 fantasy points. And coming tier down we got Evan Engram. Solid performance in week 1 where he caught all 5 of his passes for 49 yards. Going against Chiefs, Lawrence will most likely have to throw a lot to keep up with the Chiefs offense. Worth to add that Chiefs were 10th worst defense against opposing tight ends last season, and first game they allowed 5 receptions on 5 targets for rookie tight end Laporta, and another 2 receptions on 2 targets for another tight end, Brock Wright. I would not be surprised if Engram had another decent game where he maybe even finds the end zone. Next up, the same tier, we have George Kittle. A lot of limited practices last week and only caught 3 out of 6 passes from Purdy. Kittle normally belongs in a tier above, but since he doesn't seem 100% healthy, and in the matchup against Rams I don't expect Purdy to throw a whole lot, Kittle might have a decent but not great game this coming Sunday. At all times he should be the one of the top 3 passing options for Purdy, so of course if you have him, you should always play him. Last person in this tier will be Dallas Goedert. A very quiet first game with 1 target and 0 catches. I don't expect this to be a norm. Nick Sirianni, head coach of Eagles, came out and said that he expects Goedert to have more touches next week. He said that Eagles shouldn't go full game without getting Goedert the ball. He's one of the playmakers for that team, and we can blame the rain for that, as well as Patriots being very strong defensively, hence why Goedert's bad performance. This week he's facing Vikings defense that isn't nowhere near as good as Patriots, so he should be able to have bounce back game. Next year we are starting with Hunter Henry. A very good first game against Eagles, which made him the highest scoring tight end of the first week. This week Patriots are facing Dolphins, and knowing how explosive Dolphins are, I see Mac Jones having to throw a lot once again. I have to add that Dolphins defense was 4th worst defense against opposing tight ends in 2022. I expect Henry to have another strong game, and I believe he should be started unless you have one of the top tight ends from tiers above. Next we got Pat Freiermuth. He could very well switch places with Hunter Henry, but I decided to bump him down 1 spot because he's dealing with chest injury. It shouldn't affect his playing time versus Browns, therefore he still should be a good play, especially with Deontay Johnson missing time. Him and Pickens should be 2 top options for Kenny Pickett. He's going against good Browns defense that were 7th best defense against opposing tight ends last season, and that's the same defense that just held Bengals to 3 points in week 1. Last person in this tier will be David Njoku. Last week he didn't have a good game where he ended with only 2 catches for 24 yards, but it's worth to add that Browns got fast early lead and Watson wasn't throwing whole bunch. This week they are going against Steelers, who didn't have a great game last week, but I expect head coach Tomlin to always come up with a plan for the game, and I see this game being competitive. I don't think Njoku will have exquisite game, but he should put some points on board. Opening last year I got rookie Lions tight end Sam Laporta. I really like what he showed week 1, and it looked like Goff is comfortable throwing to him, as well as Dan Campbell wants him to be a part of the offense. He's going against Seahawks defense that just got torched by Rams, and listen carefully here. Seahawks were the defense that allowed most fantasy points against opposing tight ends last season. I would really be surprised if Laporta wasn't part of the Lions' plan for this game. Next up we got Kyle Pitts, that everyone likes but no one wants to draft him. I personally refuse to start any of Falcons passing options unless I see the change of the style for that team. Last week Ridder had only 18 passing attempts. This is nearly not enough for me to play any of the Falcons pass catchers unless I really have to. Kyle Pitts still managed to get 2 catches for 44 yards, and unless Falcons really fall behind or Pitts gets some crazy long touchdown, I don't really see him having a great game. I just wanted to briefly touch on these last 4 guys that in my mind don't make top 12 for that week. Higbee should be a decent weekly start, at least till Cooper Kupp doesn't come back. However, I can't see him having a great game against 49ers defense. Coming to Dalton Kincaid. He got 4 targets the first game. Looks like Bills might need him to be a part of the offense. I just need to see more before I put him in my lineup. Next up, Jovan Johnson. He should be okay weekly streamer, depending on the matchup. He can have a decent showing against Panthers, but there is still 3 more guys that Carr throws to, aka it's a lot of mouths to feed. Lastly, we got Hayden Hurst. I would like to mention him here because I believe he will be the big part of Panthers offense. He should be Bryce Young's security blanket, but going against top Saints defense, he will have a hard time. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe. Let me know in the comment sections what video would you like to see next. I'm looking forward to hear back from you.